Well, hello. This is Youth Jam Radio, home to the Elias Shoesmith Breakfast Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. You are listening to Life Changes with Brock and
Ian.
That's right, friends. And one thing I'm going to talk about today certainly is long-haul aeroplane flights. For goodness sake, the most boring time of your life ever is in that twilight zone, in the dark zone, on an aeroplane flight. It could be you're going to an Asian country, say, 5 hours, 5.5 hours. Many Australians do this sort of thing, not everyone, but if you're fortunate enough to get on that aeroplane, you've got 5 hours, 5.5 of utter boredom to go. Now I'm sure Brock's, he does some strategy on the aeroplane. I have yet to get a successful strategy, but I want to find out from Brocky, has he got a strategy to live through 5 or 6 hours of utter aeroplane boredom? Brocky, what do you got for us?
Well, I've been on a few flights, but it's usually with people you know. So I guess that's the start of it, is to make sure that you're comfortable with the people, you know what they're all about. A lot of it's been travelling with my wife, so I know that she likes to put the book on and she likes to try and shut out a little bit, so you get some me time. But there's also definitely a bit of
shout out to wifey.
Yeah, shout out to wifey. She's a good travel partner, but definitely. So you got to be prepared for that time where you're just going to be by yourself. She wants a bit of time by herself, so there's the movie option if you've paid for the extra expensive flight.
Yeah.
I don't mind the old movies. There's the book option, but I'm a bit of a people watcher, to be honest.
Oh yes,
I like to make up stories about people that I'm looking at. I like to imagine a bit of the action movie where there's, you're trying to find the air marshals that are going to protect you in case of...
Who is the air marshal?
The air marshal. And then, that involves a bit of walking up and down aisles at times.
It does.
Just to keep track on everyone that's there. So we're all interested to know, Bauer, you haven't come up with a strategy, so that means you've tried stuff.
I've tried stuff, all right.
That hasn't worked for you.
Well, what didn't work for me was we did have a flight with some teenagers on it that we were meant to be taken care of. And the next thing I know, they were crawling under the seats from the back of the aeroplane to the front, doing a race under people's feet. That didn't work. That did not work. So crawling under seats, going through where the that parachute thing is, life jacket thing.
I was going to say, what flight were you on? There's usually life jackets.
It was Tiger Air. That one was Tiger Air, friends. And our little Aussie champions were crawling under the seats.
Like little tigers.
Little tigers. It didn't quite work. I've also tried the old excessive caffeine consumption.
Oh.
Yeah. So 4 lattes and then another coffee. It wasn't bad. That wasn't too bad. Caffeine sort of worked okay. I've tried to sort of go into, Tiger were just one of the greatest flights ever. I tried to go into the exercise, but felt self-conscious. You're doing a push-up right next to a stranger. Felt, so they're there. You feel a bit self-conscious. Also, I thought about doing push-ups outside the toilet door, but the carpet outside the toilet door is yucky.
Oh, that's
so
just
think about
feet.
that. Yeah, everyone's feet coming out of that horrible airplane toilet. Now, also, it's not nice there. But we both know we've both got a mutual friend who did 400 push-ups outside the toilet door. Do we say Trent's name on air?
He is from South Australia.
He is from South Australia. It's safe to say. So yeah. So Trent Charleston, everybody, bored. He was 19 hours or something in the air. So he thought, what should I do? 400 push-ups right there on the toilet. Not on the toilet, but on the carpet.
Outside the toilet.
Outside the toilet, but we all know that
standing in there.
Where people stand and then that gets carried over to that first bit of carpet.
We know how hard it is to aim when there's a bit of turbulence.
Just rank. And I've been thrown around inside the toilet before as well, and my shoulder actually brushed the wall. Unhygienic to the max. I couldn't believe it. The other time that I don't appreciate is you wash your hands with soap, but then you have to turn the little doorknob thing to get out. Do you put your foot there and wash hands again,
rewash,
and look like a little sissy in front of the other person waiting to come in? Or do you just manly step out and go, I will sacrifice my finger that I touched on the doorknob? You know what I'm saying?
It's
a decision.
Tough decision.
It's a
Do
decision.
you know that, speaking of the toilets in there though, Bal?
Yeah.
Do you know I went travelling to South Africa with my wife's family, and on the way, you know, the old boys, they been a deep sea diver and all that sort of stuff, so several flights and that. He likes to appear fresh when he gets out at the end.
I know where this is going.
So the size of those toilets that are in flights, he manages to come out completely clean shaven. It looks like he's just had a shower. I don't know how he fits into that. That is just...
That's legendary.
Ridiculous.
I tell you what, the young man Brent, who's just walked in the room, I bet you he's got a bit of aeroplane toilet strategy now. Now, Brent, put yourself, you're bored, you've got that hot aircon sort of dry feeling. You go into the bathroom on the aeroplane. You know, you want to stay hygienic, so you don't want to sort of touch the walls and get bumped around. You're thinking about, you know, how do you get through that experience? How do you come out of there feeling fresh as a daisy? What's your strategy, bud?
For airline hygiene purposes, I can talk to you about when I was younger.
Oh, no.
Number one rule is the line doesn't matter. Take you back to an 8-year-old Brent.
Oh, please, no. No.
On the 15-hour flight
Oh.
from Perth to South Africa, and there's a line of around 6 people for the toilet. They're all lined up. But 8-year-old Brent's timed this.
Oh, no.
But 8-year-old Brent's timed this just right. And as that vacancy sign comes up and the door opens up, I slip through.
Boy, Brent, straight in there, friends.
Straight in there.
Forget about the line. See, get stuffed adults. I'm going through. I'm 8 years old. I'm going to get away with this. I bet you did get away with it too, Brent. Just come out looking happy like, what are you guys waiting for?
100%, you know? Got to look after number one.
Oh, but the one thing I did notice about Tiger Air was the food was excellent. So you had to buy the it was just excellent on there. So yeah, no, good work, Tiger. And we had to buy it though. That was interesting. You had to pay for it in Malaysian ringgit.
Yeah, but the flights are cheaper because of that.
Exactly.
So you got to weigh up what's going to be most expensive overall. But yeah, Tiger Airways were good. I've flown with competitors before and not had the pleasant experience.
Nah.
But we can get onto that later.
Later on.
That's true. I've flown Tiger Airways to Bali before, and they had the lowest turbulence of any departure.
It was beautiful. Now, one of the more experienced people here with aeroplane toilets, and I know he's got a strategy, friends, is Christian Joubert. Now, when he goes into that bathroom, he wants to he's thinking hygiene, but he doesn't want to get he's a big man, and those bathrooms in the airplane toilets aren't that wide. So we want to find out from the man himself, how does he stay fresh and clean and hygienic without getting bounced off the walls in the narrow airplane toilet? What have you got for us there, CJ?
My strategy is to go in and get a bit of hygiene cream / a bit of soap and do a solid clean for about a minute, and then get more water to clean it first, and then put some paper on top to then sit on. Yep.
Okay, so this is forget about the line. This is taking care of business because you're thinking afterwards. No one wants to come out of that airplane toilet, friends, feeling yucky and having unhygienic touches on the wall. Then you go to look at your dinner and you want to eat it and something. It's just not hygienic, friends. So we've gone for a range of things. Now, Isaac's done 15 hours in the air. I can't boast of 15 hours. I think the most I've done is maybe 8 hours, and that was just unbearable. Has anyone here done in the double figures? Double figures?
Yeah, well, my longest one was the stopover in, I can't remember if it was KL or Singapore, one of those, which is a good 5-6 hours, and then on to Japan from there, which I believe was another 6.5 hour flight from there. Okay. So that was a double up. The other one, we went through Singapore, had a bit of a layover in Singapore, and then right into Johannesburg, which I think was a 10-hour flight. Oh. It's a good 10-hour flight across there. But that's a flight that CJ regularly does.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
So how does CJ deal with that long flight to South Africa? You know, you get a family pressure, you have to go back for, it could be a wedding, could be something like this. Isaac's now upping it to 27 hours. Where's he pulling these figures from, friends? I don't know where the proof is, but, you know, it could be a British flight. But back to CJ here. How does he handle going across the Indian Ocean and possibly a little bit of Southern Ocean involved for all that length of time? How do you handle that one there, CJ?
Well, I'll say my longest is probably overall about a 16, 17 hours flight. We normally do the via Singapore one, so we go 5 hours to Singapore and then we do another, 10-ish from there to South Africa. The way I deal with it is I have to do at least every hour walkabout. So I don't go, especially with the 3 seats planes.
Yeah.
We try and do
a lap.
A bit
to go
of,
right
yep,
to the back.
That's right. Do a bit of a
Yes.
lap. Do some butt kicks, some high knees,
Oh yes.
and that's the way we kind of get the blood flowing, and then maybe hopefully get a couple of 2-hour naps through it with a couple of new movies. That's right.
Now, we just want to know, have you gone next level and Charleston this as well and done some push-ups in the aisle?
No, I haven't.
Now hold on. Are you claiming to actually sleep? Is this true? You're claiming you can sleep on the aeroplane?
Max 2 hours I've ever fallen asleep.
Whoa, Brenty, can you sleep on the aeroplane?
100%. You can put me anywhere. I'll pretty much sleep. I had a 10-hour flight. Can't remember where it was from. Probably from like Doha to somewhere in Singapore, if that's even making sense. But slept the whole way. Must have taken half a sleeping tablet. And from the time we took off, the only thing that woke me up was the wheels touching the tarmac.
Oh, it's a gift. It's an absolute gift. Now, Isaac here, he's got 27 hours. He's gone Bristol to Amsterdam, to Kuala Lumpur to Singapore to Perth. That is a tripper. That is from Bristol in England. Amsterdam's in Holland, I believe, the Netherlands. KL is the capital city of Malaysia, and that is a massive airport. Singapore Airport, they say, is one of the nicest airports on earth. It certainly is a beautiful one. And then landing in Perth. And you smell the eucalyptus when you land in Perth. It's one thing I've noticed. It's a pretty different feeling. Or maybe it's something else I was sniffing out there at the airport with our very well, the guards were not that happy, let me tell you. They're never friendly at the Australian airport. But never again, at Singapore, they have got machine guns. They're not friendly there. Malaysia, they've got machine guns, not friendly there. Where is there a friendly airport anywhere on earth with the airport people?
Well, I did find in Japan, it was just super strange. Like, I was so used to coming through Australian customs, all that sort of stuff. We rocked up there, picked up our luggage, go straight out. There wasn't even anyone to like scan anything at all. It was just straight out the double doors into the wilderness. It was insane. And the other one was Nepal. Nepal was a super strange setup they got there. Like, for the locals, they kind of have two rules over there. There's always the local line and there's always like the international line. And for a lot of the police checks and that, they just wave the internationals through because they're relying on the tourist dollars for their economy and stuff so much. So that was an interesting one. We just rolled in. We could have had anything, just rolled out straight away. But it was tough there getting out to because every single taxi driver's like, come to my taxi. So you just got millions of people just mobbing you. So it wasn't the people searching your bags. It was the taxi drivers that were really the people to get through there.
And of course, wanting to be friends with people and help them out, of course, Brocky, you would have found it hard to lock into your taxi driver.
Well, we were, because I'd worked with some Nepalese guys in Japan. They actually met us at the airport, which made it, I would have found it super hard, as you said. Like, first guy that came, you would have just gone, all right, you're first in, let's go. But you just don't know what they're going to charge. So Nepalese friend met us, and he walked us straight through. He knew a taxi driver, his family, so we got into their car and, super service from there.
Now, we know overseas, particularly where Christian likes to travel, it's often hot. Now, CJ, on your footwear, you're walking, you're around all day. What are you going around in shoes? You going around in flip-flops, or just what sort of or Crocs? Is it Crocs? Crocs.
Definitely not Crocs.
Okay.
Well, I'll go back to first of all the airport security, and going back to Singapore. My first experience there, super strict, chewing some gum, blowing some bubbles.
Chewing gum in Singapore.
And
first.
Written warning. First experience in Singapore airport. Taking all my gum off me, and written warning for the strict airport of Singapore. That's probably why it's so well run and clean and that
Did
sort
it-
of thing.
Was it like an intimidating experience? Were they like super serious or just
Super
like
serious because it's
Ooh,
like
boy,
massive
oh,
deal
boy.
over there. I don't even
Is-
think they sell gum
No, I don't think
anywhere
they
in
do.
Singapore.
No,
Yep.
you never see
So-
any graffiti over there either. It's
No.
just, and all the teenagers are well behaved. I've noticed, not like our little brats. But I mean, did I say that? No, but what about on the footwear?
But
It's in a
footwear
sticky hot-
definitely always flip flops.
flip flops. I thought it
Good
was
old
going to
dongs.
be. Yep.
Never the runners. That's my work shoes. So
No, but what
that's
about
when I let off.
what
on the
about when
runners.
you're on a motorised vehicle? Have you ridden a motorbike overseas in flip flops?
We have hired a bike or moped
Moped
in Thailand,
yeah.
and 100% we did. Ride them with the thongs.
Did you have a singlet on?
Singlet, I
Or
can't remember. Maybe
Rugby
Maybe a few
shorts
times.
and singlet combo.
Rugby shorts, singlet. Yep.
Thought so.
Moped, 2 people on it.
There we go. I got that
Helmets
right.
now and then. No,
Helmet left back at the hotel, and away we go.
Yep.
Oh, that's
no
it.
license required to drive those
Isn't it?
in Thailand. Sometimes
wow.
they just want to grab your passport as evidence, but
Gee.
Yeah, we got one that was so powerful, my wife and I, that on the hills, one of us had to jump off and run next to the bike. And then the brakes weren't strong enough to stop it going down the other side.
That's where you just jump off and dump it. Just in the groove on the side of the road. So, whoops.
well, that's where you got to make sure when we do taking up the hills, or especially around corners, that one goes one way, the other goes the other for turning. Otherwise, it didn't work. Otherwise, you just stack it together on the same side.
Talking about stack it though, we have heard about Brent this afternoon, who somehow managed to knock himself out during a snorkeling experience down at Mindari, down there at the North Wall. Brenny, now, well, you're standing on the rock, something's happening, and then the wave sucked out, and you what? You put your foot in a hole or something and headbutt the reef? What's going on here?
Yeah, something along those lines. So we're out having a beautiful day, fishing off the rocks. My mate's thrown out his line and he's trying to reel it back in. It's got caught in this little cave area, and me being the efficient outdoor man I am, I said, "Don't worry, I'll go get it.
I've got this."
I got this. And so I did my best impression of a superhero landing, jumping through a hole, but I wasn't looking where I was going and smacked my face clean on a rock as I was coming down, only to be woken up by the cold water washing over my face, and then emerged looking like a caveman from the 16th century.
This is the best part of the story, though. You get back to school, mum works in the office, and so typical thing with the suspected concussion is to send the kid home, get him checked out, that sort of stuff. But Brent's mum's just, sorry son, go back to class.
Oh no! You've got the toughest mum on earth. Let's hope she's not listening. No, but I mean, she's a great mum, of course. There's no worries there, mum. But no, she's pretty tough. Far out. You smash your face on a reef. You're at school. The girls are like, "Who is that hideous beast?" Now you've just written off your face, and you've got to go back to school and present. Unbelievable, mate. That's a tough upbringing.
So should we move back to the planes?
Back to aeroplanes. You want to talk about aeroplanes?
So we're
Tell you
asking Ian Bauer here how he deals with motion sickness normally and how he does that on a plane.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I hold on to those side things, the armrest, really hard, and I have a compulsive feeling to want to hold the hand of the person next to me, just to have some comfort. I wish I could, but often if it's a stranger, you feel awkward holding their hand, But it's just a thing. I get really a bit upset in the aeroplane.
So what is
lonely.
what is your worst experience of motion sickness? Have you ever?
Just epic, dizzy, and just feeling like horribleness forever. All right. Oof.
We've probably got a pretty young audience out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's probably a few people here that haven't even done the flight at all.
Oh.
So it's always a big thing, this first flight. Now, I'm trying to remember back to my first flight. It was I did fly before I can remember because I did live in Karratha, coming back down to Perth, but I don't remember those ones. And as a kid, you're probably just all into it anyway. But I do remember the first flight. My sister was on there. We actually went with Nan. We got a mystery flight, flew up to Kalbarri, pulled a mystery flight and get to fly all of the way to Kalbarri.
Now to Kalbarri.
Well done, Qantas. Tiger would be much better at that. But it's the same feelings taking off, landing. You got to trust a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I remember my sister was flipping out, and I was just like all in for this ride. I just like, you know, you see the movie, you see the airplane things. I just wanted to be up there with the pilot controlling this thing. But she got a bit motion sickness, so that was a pretty bad experience. But just want to know your guys' feelings of how your first flight went. Were there any apprehensions, any strategies you took to relieve those?
So how about you give us a call on 0407. Is that no? Is that what you want? Text. Give a text. Give a text on 0407 738 064. Now, we want the worst flight experience, or you could also boast a bit about, you know, I found a gold watch jammed in the back of the seat sort of business, or I got free coffee, or a free hot dog because the person next to me didn't want it. You know, stuff like that. Or, even better, teenagers, have you made a brand new friend on the aeroplane, never met him before, suddenly you've made a new friend, it's super cool. You're not talking social media here, forget that face-to-face conversation we're talking about, friends. I met a new friend once on a tugboat. We're on the tugboat, we're going out to Woody Island. That's what it is. And we met... And then they had a barbecue back at our place, and it was pretty good. It was not an aeroplane, but it was a boat trip. And their family were like holidaying in Esperance and that. It was a nice time. And then, I can't even remember their name, okay? Can't even remember if it was male or female. Irrelevant. It was a new friend. So, Brenty, what? Come back.
Do you remember your first flight, Bauer?
Sure do. It's the mighty Skywest from Esperance, and I also was like well into it, looking down at the clouds where the sun was shining on the clouds. It was so awesome. These little airplanes didn't have toilets, so no, it was a tiny one. I think my dad might have been the pilot actually, and it was a tiny little one, and it was just really special. Yeah, and you were strapped into the tiny seat. It was hyper exciting and really loud, so you couldn't really talk. And then it got a bit boring. So it was a bit boring, but still you're up in the air. So, yeah, no, I do remember it was excellent. Yeah. Oh, sorry, mate.
Brento, you remember your first flight?
Yeah, I probably have my first flight coming over here from Zimbabwe to Perth, but don't really remember that one so well. I was quite probably sleeping the whole time. My first flight experience that I would remember would be when we went back to South Africa when I was about age 10 and was sick the whole flight in full just hold it down mode for like a good 6 hours. Just, you know, every prevention strategy under the sun. You had the deep breathing. I was doing yoga in the back and drinking water, just trying to hold it down. But got all the way to the runway. I was like, home stretch, we've made it, baby. Landed the plane, and the moment those wheels stopped and that motion just pushed me forward, I just yacked everywhere, over like the seat in front, over my dad, over everyone. It was a devastating experience. What about you, Christian? Do you have your first flight experience?
I do remember my first flight very clearly. I was about 10, 11, and we flew from Johannesburg to Port Elizabeth. It was a rugby tour, and I was actually very excited. Normally I'm very scared of flights now these days, but then I was very excited. And that little short flight was only, I think, about 50, 60 passengers. But it was, it was very jittery. So flying to Port Elizabeth, very windy. So it was quite a dramatic experience as a 10-year-old with like flying just with my coach and the other players. Yeah,
being 10 years old with a boys' team, you would have been mucking around a fair bit, surely, on that flight.
Yeah, we did. But, you know, if we did the wrong thing, it would have been back in the old caning days.
Oh, yes, bring it.
So everyone was well behaved until someone got hit. And then
things calmed down, did they?
Everyone was sitting there saluting whenever they had to.
Now, there's something happening right now. Forget about boredom. What about gyms on planes? What do you got? No, it's not a bad concept. I wouldn't mind having a workout on the aeroplane.
So much better than having a snake on a plane.
That's right. Why? What happened? Has there been a snake on the flight? What happened there?
I think he's reverting to a movie.
Guess what the movie title was?
Okay, hold
Snakes on a Plane.
Really? That would be a nightmare. That'd be scary. But at least you wouldn't be bored. So it would take your mind off.
That's
Or-
right. I wouldn't be bored, especially if Samuel L. Jackson was telling me about how sick he was of these snakes on this plane.
Yes. And what exact words did he use? No. It is happening it's happening according to the boss, Isaac, here. Gyms are on the plane. We'll be lifting weights and also...
I think I might just get on a flight for that purpose.
For the gym.
Look at that.
You could have your...
10
extra-
hours, you can get
Yep.
your meals planned and do a gym session, then eat, nap, and then gym again.
You
and then
just-
eat, nap. That'll actually be my dream.
Gym yourself into the ground.
That's right.
First class.
No economy classes. Oh,
I would love
there
to
goes
go
that plan.
on
Ignore.
first class. Oh, yeah.
I'm out.
I would. Being able to...
I don't know, CJ. Your wife's going to be a physio. She is a physio. She's going to be rolling in the big bucks soon enough. You have business first class all over the place, right?
She might be in there, but I might still be stuck in.
Yeah. She'll be in the first class. You're in economy, and I'll see you at the other end. No.
But
Yeah,
how cool would that be, having gyms on a plane?
That would be very good. But that would save having to do push-ups, friends, just outside that toilet door.
Yeah. We
That's
should get
so
that
great.
person in for a
We
conversation.
need
That
to
is-
find out exactly.
Maybe he met his wife. Or
Well,
his
she would have been...
fiancée.
Any woman would be impressed with that. They see a guy slamming out the push-ups in an unhygienic location. She thinks, what a guy.
With hands on the ground.
Hands on the ground. And
then
then he would have stood up without washing his hands. Think about it. And then the only place he could wash his hands is back in the toilet, but there's already 20 people on the line. So what's he going to do?
Is that okay because he's vegetarian? Is that the...
Well, it
like-
seems to be a growing trend with the same person we're talking about. We definitely need to get him on here to chat about this because I found out he went to Everest. He dropped a muesli bar on the ground, picked the muesli bar up off the ground, ate it, got food poisoning. They thought it was altitude sickness, got a helicopter up there, cost him $8,000 to fly him down to get IV'd back in Kathmandu Hospital.
Okay, that's it. We've had enough, Trent. You need to wash your hands before eating. We've made an executive decision now, okay? So this is an intervention. So before you actually touch the food, the hands need to be a little bit cleaner. That's all we're saying, mate. Okay, you're coming up, you're getting married. Okay, it's a thing. Okay, now, also we need to find out how did he spoon with his brother for like 8 hours on the bus in Cambodia, for goodness sake. This guy's travelled all over the world. It's hard travelling. What's happening up here? What's going on, Isaac? No, nothing yet. Okay, we're back over to CJ.
But I'm just trying to think back to gyms on a plane.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I'm just trying to think how would the gravity work with lifting weights? That would be an interesting
Brent
conversation
seems to be
right
over
here.
on this one. You got a thought on that there, Brenty?
Oh, yeah, I love the concept. You can tire yourself out so you can get to sleep. Loving that idea, But something that I've always deeply seeded my hate in about planes is the uncomfortableness of sleeping, especially if you're anywhere over 5'10", trying to just stretch out is just virtually impossible. There's no comfortable position. Yep, I think bunk beds on a plane.
Bunk beds on a plane. There must be some planes with beds on them.
I've said
Like-
bunk beds myself.
But then if there's a gym on a plane, is there showers on a plane as well? Because then you imagine get sweaty. Now you got to go in a plane. You're stuck 12 hours with someone that just had a gym session.
What
and
about a British shower? So what I've heard, I don't know, I've never been there, but sometimes British people don't actually bathe fully. They just put a bit of armpit stuff with a flannel. No, I've just made that bit up, Isaac. Yeah, no. If you're from England, you are very hygienic. There's no worries about that. But you could just get a flannel in the armpit and just give yourself a wash off like that a little bit.
We
maybe.
have good confirmation that
Yep.
staff actually have showers and bunk beds, but
Oh.
the passengers
Don't.
can't use them.
Maybe
So
they could
that's,
share, sort of rotate.
ooh.
Half an hour on. Half an hour on that.
Thank goodness we don't have Brock Trainer conversation.
Oh,
there right
yes. Brock Trainer, everybody. He would have his hammock out there on the aeroplane. He does enjoy the hammock, as does Brent, when they're out sleeping rough. They like the hammock, do the guys. And CJ, have you got a different sleeping method? Do you go the cocoon in a sleeping bag, or do you just go laid out any way possible?
No, I do go into the sleeping bag.
Yeah. You don't feel
but
claustrophobic?
I do a little bit, but I prefer having the one leg up when I sleep on the side. So I do zip the one side open.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's right.
I wonder where that comes back. Maybe childhood, or maybe dog barking when you're younger, and it's sort of like you're kicking out, or just a little bit of psychology there, friends. But it's Perth to London, 17 hours. What are your thoughts, friends, on 0407 738 064? That's a text, not a phone call, because Isaac doesn't want to put up with phone calls. This text, a great man yourself. I like the idea. I think we should have free tickets. Maybe we should all go to London.
100%.
The only way to, make a informed decision upon this is to experience it firsthand. So I think we need to not only do the 17 hours non-stop, we have to do the alternative as well, so we can compare them equally.
So that means we'll have to have 2 holidays.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm getting from that.
Yeah, I'm reading that vibe too. I would love to go to
But
England.
also in September, there is correct. There's cricket. There's cricket, in London. The
Yeah.
Ashes. We
Yeah.
always want to go watch the Test match cricket there at Lord's, the home of cricket. But the other one in September is the new flight from Perth to Tokyo direct, which if we all do love snowboarding and skiing, let's not talk about skiing, but it is going to be a benefit for those people wanting to go in January for their big holiday over in Japan. So that's another new flight that's coming in with
El Nepal Airways. And Nepal, all right. We're going to the land of the rising sun, or are we going to go to England? Where are we going to go? This is...
my bet will be Japan for
Japan?
the
Yeah.
snowboarding.
Yeah.
Tranner's experience there's...
He's given the nod. Brent's nodding wisely. It looks like it's all round for Japan for a bit of snowboard action. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tiger.
All right, we got to... we've asked for it on the text line, the 0407 738 064, worst flight experiences ever. Now, amongst you lads, Brent, maybe we can start with you. Worst flight experience ever.
Worst flight experience. It actually wasn't a long flight, but it was on the way. Oh no, it was on the way to Bali, and it was on one of the jumbo jets. Wasn't a lot of seats on there, but we had a 3-seater, and just as it was like a stereotype, we had on the left of me a fairly large male. One, you could say that he was overhanging into my sitting area.
Ooh.
And I was like, all right, I can deal with this. Yeah. I can just move over to the other side of my seating area, where a mother came and sat down with her crying infant. I was sitting in the middle by myself. My friends had filled out the other row. I was the odd one out. I didn't get to sit in the row with my friends, so I copped it. I had to sit there the whole time. The baby cried. The dude took up my seating area. It was a long 5 hours. It was a very long 5 hours.
Oh, I tell you what, I don't want to go into my worst, but I was feeling a bit rough getting onto the plane to start with. And then I was sitting right at the back of the plane, and we were taking care of a teenager who was feeling sick. And she was we had to get their paramedics on the aeroplane when we arrived. But as I looked down the aeroplane, it just sort of tubed into this time warp situation. I just thought, I'm not feeling good at all. And it was just like it just went on and on. And that was, to be honest, the air hostess was not sympathetic to my plight. I was feeling I was feeling rough, feeling a little bit upset, sorry for myself. No, I just had to tough it out. Okay, so I'm feeling a bit sulky, to be honest. Yeah, that's me.
Mine was probably a pre-flight experience, but I think there will be a lot of people out there with their worst flight as to do with Bali belly.
Oh, yes.
And mine was probably about 5 years ago, going to Bali. Everything went really well until about an hour before the flight, when the Bali belly kicked in and there was no medication anywhere to be found for the stoppage. And went to the toilets quickly before we had to go board.
And shock horror just found out that.
Shock horror just got into the toilet. Everyone must have experienced it, which meant there was no toilet paper. No toilet paper left anywhere to be seen.
And you look at this little hose
and you think, oh wow, why is this hose wet all over the seat with stuff laying around? It made, there was just meant holding in. And then it was a very rough 3.5, 4 hour flight of going to the toilet back and forth about 20 times. And that was probably one of my worst ones, combined with coming back from Fiji this year, being super sick and having to take medication, just having like, imagine the worst, fever, that sort of thing, and just holding out 5 hours and 5 hours of a flight. That's pretty much.
It's so bad, isn't it, when you see someone sick on the plane and you're like, that's going through the aircon and just infecting everyone.
Oh, the aircon.
Rank.
Oh.
But so my worst flight, just finished the most epic working holiday, Japan. Then I went to Nepal for a couple of weeks. Then we thought on the way home we'll stop in Thailand. So we flew into Bangkok, stayed around Thailand for a while. And then on the way out, feeling very relaxed, been by the pool for like 10 days, just reading books and that sort of stuff. Leave out from Bangkok, and then all of a sudden the plane's touching down in Jakarta, and we thought, what's it doing this for? Our tickets say just a non-stop flight from Bangkok to Perth, and we're like, oh my goodness. So my wife and I are looking at each other going, this is going to be an interesting experience. So we landed. As we're getting out of the plane, or we just stayed in our seats because we're like, surely this plane's just going to take off again. They're like, no, you have to get off. We're like, okay. There's no information about where our luggage is going, no information about anything. Get out into Jakarta, and we trying to get ushered by the people out through customs, out into the big wide world. But the plane's leaving, and our next flight's like supposed to be leaving in 30-40 minutes time. So we're like, no, we can't go out through customs because that's going to take time and everything else. So we managed to go through this side entrance into this place. I don't know what was going on. And then they like go to check back in again with everyone else about to board the plane, and they're like, what's this ticket? And it's just the most random thing. So we had to try and find a booth that was open from the air flight company. It's all like wee hours in the morning, so everything's shut. So eventually we get back to the gate and they just pull out a blank ticket and write it in pen. And then we're like, what the heck's going on? So anyway, we're like, all right, we're getting back on the plane. They're probably videoing us for some reality TV show right now, seeing our reactions. So we're trying to keep the steely face. So we hop back on. They try to do the right thing, give us the emergency exit seat so we get the nice big leg room and all that sort of stuff. We're like, this is sweet. Hop on. The engines start up to take off again. But this is like everyone coming home from holidays. So the mums, babies, it's all there. And it's just like a Mexican wave just starts up the plane, one baby after the other, just roaring front, behind us. We're lucky we're in the emergency seat, so you can't have babies in that area. We're like the one little sweet spot of the plane. We just look at each other and we're just like, 5 hours from home. Worst time ever. But our bags made it. We made it home. All happy landing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, we all had those flights where we just wish that the flight could go faster or something would go a little bit easier for us. My question to you fellas is, what's your best method or story of upgrading yourself on a flight?
Well,
because I recently went on a holiday with my lovely girlfriend, and my theory was that, she didn't go through with it, but my theory was that if I took a ring from my mom and I made it that I proposed to her on the plane,
next level.
then maybe I'd get the upgrade. What's your story?
Brent, she's probably going to be listening to this segment, mate. This is awesome, friends, right here and right now. Brent just said that, and Isaac's recorded it, and that is awesome. Well done, Brent. No, we had a good, I think about 13 school children, KL airport, midnight, coming back to Perth, rock up, and they said, yep, you're 24 hours late. I said, really? Okay. I turned to the Year 11 girls. I said, just get it fixed. I'm having a little meltdown. I did have a panic, and they ran around. They had to go here, they had to go there, and then we sucked up a lot, and they took mercy on the poor Aussie kids. And thank you, I believe it was Tiger, you little beauty Tiger. They let us back on, and we got back to Perth that night, even though we were 24 hours late in Malaysia. Woo!
Yeah, so I tried the upgrade thing. To my disappointment, we were actually on a honeymoon, so I actually tried
Very nice.
the upgrade, and then found out the lady told me, sorry sir, this is all economy class flight. I realised it's no business flight because it's low budget airline. Yeah, so that was my
At least you tried.
Yeah, I tried, but then yeah.
Did you lose any face in front of your new wife? Or
No, I didn't.
No.
No.
That's good.
Although the lady did ask, I was trying to surprise her to say not where the place is, but the lady kept insisting, asking, sir, where do you travel? And I'm like,
no.
trying to hint.
Ruining the surprise.
That's right. Trying to, hint that it's not. I'm trying not to say it so she doesn't find out where we're going. But security questions we were forced to tell her there what it was.
I can't say I've had an upgrade experience, but I have learnt a few things to get served first, and one of those is to always order the vegan meal.
Oh, yes.
Because most of the time it's a better meal anyway.
Or
but
dietary
then,
requirements.
They
You can
bring
just
it
say
out.
gluten-free and then bam, first meal.
They often bring it out first ahead of everyone else, which is pretty good. But making friends with the air hostess on the way in, giving them a smile. So many people are flying tired and, being grumpy to them. Like, it's just their job. They're trying to put on the happy face. But, you give them a smile, you say hello, all that sort of stuff, and you find the service just goes through the roof. They're happier, you're happier. Like, everyone has a happier flight.
And you get those extra, peanuts and all
You
that.
get the
sort of
extra
stuff.
salted peanuts. They're gold. You
They
can
are
have
always
about
the ones
5
that get you
packets.
through
Oh, yeah.
to the first meal time.
Absolutely. And good fibre too as well. A nice healthy meal. Got to think
don't
about
want
that
that
when you're
good
traveling.
fibre.
Not too much, but you're travelling overseas. You got to think about these things. All right, friends. Now, it's almost time to sign off, I believe. Isaac has a driving lesson. And remember what we say. When Isaac's driving, you get on the road for safety because he'll probably be on the footpath. Did I say that, Isaac? Sorry, mate. So what? He's a good driver. No, it's fingers crossed. No, it's going to be okay. Okay, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. It's just a lesson. But you do have to operate a large vehicle on the road, Isaac. You can
I have
handle
actually
that, mate.
seen Isaac drive
Yeah.
at Curtin Shopping Centre. once.
Really?
Yeah, I have. Yes,
And
I
you
was just
survived.
going for a hockey game at Curtin University,
Yep.
and I saw Isaac driving.
Whoa.
Very, very smooth
Yeah.
with
yeah.
his family. If I can.
Did he have
reconcile,
Did he have
yeah.
the window down, the radio on gently, or
no,
was
he
it
was very focused straight, but I did see it was like, oh, it's Isaac, and
hyper
didn't get
focused?
Yep,
Like
no,
a laser.
it was packed, so
Yeah.
he just concentrated on the road.
Oh,
Which is
well
good.
done, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, well done. Now this outro, Isaac. Are we handing this over to Brenty? Okay, here we go. The big man.
All right, guys. You are listening to Life Changes with Brock.
And Ian and our special guest Brenty and CJ Jubert, the DJ.
Brought to you by Laser Blaze Australia. Find out more at youthjamradio.com. See you later.